Tragically, not all stories can be like Rapunzel or Cinderella, where they live happily ever after, because real life isn't a Disney movie. Tragedy struck the couple just like Romeo and Juliet, and just like the modern day equivalent of Romeo and Juliet, this tragic love story has come to an end. Truly a modern day romance film defining the entire genre for ages to come in the future. Anyways, I'm basically going to tell you the reason why they split up, and I'm going to go through both Trump's perspective and Elon Musk's perspective. It won't take me that long. So this isn't because Elon got fired, because he originally had only, I think, about 130 days in the government without being like an official member of it. That's how long most people were allowed to do what Elon Musk did, where he had government access and was allowed to for that specific time without officially being brought into the government. So it's basically like Trump used the rules that were already set in place to get Elon Musk quickly into the government. So skipping over that part, I'll give you the perspective of Elon Musk first, then I'll give you Donald Trump's. So basically how it goes is Trump forms Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, finding out wasteful spending, cutting it out, and saving the American budget as well as taxpayer money in order to things that were funded that were basically worthless for the government. And that was Elon Musk's entire job. Elon Musk went as far as having all his company stock tank. So he went from losing potentially billions to hundreds of millions of dollars just to help this out with Trump. So Elon Musk has sacrificed a lot to basically get where he was, at the cost of basically every one of his company's value tanking horribly because of it. And as you can see, let me quickly bring it up. And basically, as you can see, this was practically the time Musk joined. Look at where his stock fell. He took this hit basically, joining the government, knowing that it would hurt him very badly, and it did. Tesla is now number 7 in automakers, when it used to be number 1. Then I think Toyota took over as number 1 again, and then basically it went down to number 7. But he basically risked all of this to join Doge in order to do all of that. He thought he would be able to get trillions of dollars done in 130 days, which didn't happen. So, what you see here is what Doge managed to save. This isn't trillions of dollars. This is pretty much half a trillion, which is actually pretty huge by itself. It's not what Elon Musk wanted, but it's a good goal nonetheless. But basically, this is all his hard work right over here. And basically what's going to happen is this new bill that's being passed by Congress is going to add, I think it was 1.5 trillion to the deficit. And Elon Musk is not happy about it, because it basically spits in his face saying, hey, this is all my work. You're going to add 1.5 trillion to it. And it's basically like I did nothing to help the government. That's basically how he took it as, which is why he's angry, upset, and unhappy. So right now there's more Republicans basically in the House and Senate, but it's not enough to really be a super majority. It's just enough for them to basically lean Republican mostly. So because Trump's been in the government, he understands their game. So the difference in perspective is that Trump was president for 4 years, and he was around when Biden was president for 4 years. So he had really enough time to think out how the government really works, because when he first came in, he thought he would fix everything, and to be honest, it didn't go extremely well for him. He underestimated just how the government actually worked, which was his biggest mistake during his first term. So during this term, because he understands how the government works better, he thinks this is a win because he's basically cutting taxes and shit for everybody. But in exchange, more things are being added to the deficit, and there's also a few other things being cut, like the electrical vehicle mandates, electric cars and all that. So all that stuff is also being cut, which is also hurting Elon Musk. Elon said it's not about that, but I believe it partially is because that affects his Tesla stock. That hurts his Tesla stock. So Trump called it the big beautiful bill. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's an overall success for Trump, even though Congress did its thing where they put like 100 extra little things to it, where this is not something Trump personally can control because Congress is its own entity, the Senate and Congress are. He can't really make laws, he can only really enforce laws and do the powers of the president as well as use the army. But yeah, overall, he sees it as a major win for him, but Elon Musk basically sees it as a betrayal of what Trump was because it basically tells him, hey, I don't care about the deficit, which is kind of Elon Musk's perspective of it, even though Trump is very happy about it because it accomplishes something he wanted to do. And it's one of those things where I think Trump is more on the line of the budget can be fixed over time with Doge. So I'm not going to worry about it too much as long as this passes because I'm really happy about it. Whereas Elon Musk sees it as it's a betrayal of the American people because what they wanted was him to get rid of the deficit. So what I see it as is mainly Elon Musk, the newbie who was hopeful, who thought he could overachieve and everything, didn't realize just how corrupt and hard to really manage the government truly is. So the government's been around for 249 years. And that's a lot of stuff that the government basically has done. You can't easily just reverse everything and change everything because there's so many little things that you have to know. Whereas Trump's perspective is more so, I'm in the government, I know how this works. Whereas Trump's perspective is, I'm in the government, I know how this works, and this is overall good for me, even if there is some bad stuff attached to it. So yeah, I can sympathize with Elon because basically he wasted his time, his money, and effort to basically have all the progress he made mean nothing. And that's why it hurt Elon to basically see Trump's bill passed. Whereas Trump, he basically showed the people that he's keeping the promises he has, even if some have to take priority over the others. Because he's doing both at once, but now he also has to have Doge get rid of that new added extra debt by getting rid of other debts to minimize it. And another thing Trump did with this is show the people that, hey, Elon Musk was never running the show. I'm running the show. I'm the actual president, and you people that were saying Elon Musk is running the country were basically proven wrong. I'm running the country. I'm the president, and this is my way of doing things. And in that regard, I respect him because we elected Donald Trump. We didn't elect Elon Musk. And whether you voted for him or not, you want Donald Trump as the president, not Elon Musk, because Elon Musk is not the president. So this is like a two sides where I can be more empathetic towards Elon Musk, but I can understand Trump's point of view, even if it is a little shitty, mainly because he knows how being president works, because he's been president. So he's not underestimating how sometimes he has to do horrible compromises to get things done. And that's why Elon Musk called it pork-filled, because there's really a lot. Because like the government already taxes you on so much stuff that what's the point of adding more? You tax my paycheck with federal taxes, social security, and a bunch of other stuff. Then, when I buy something, you tax me again. Then, when I live in a house, you tax me again. Then, when I use water or electricity, you tax me again. Then, after the year is over, you tax me again because the IRS says I didn't pay enough money, so then you tax me one more time. I'm really not into that because I'm just being taxed on top of taxes, and it's getting to the point where, me personally, I don't really like high taxes without an incentive for them. And the problem is, we're wasting a lot of money on useless garbage that I don't feel like my money is being used well by the government anyways. If your perspective is different, then that's fine, but that's my perspective.
Are significant. However, They pale in comparison to the biggest cost in the bill. That is extending those Trump tax cuts. Altogether, the Congressional Budget Office says the tax cuts in this bill add up to $3.7 trillion.
Damn.
That's good news in that that's money taxpayers could keep, but it's also bad news because it comes out of the federal budget. And
To be honest, this is one of the things where taxpayers really should be keeping more of their money. I believe so. Because the federal government, like, if we give them more money and they waste more money, is it really worthwhile to do it? As I said, we need an incentive to use money. Like, oh, we're going to fund this war. Oh, we're going to fund this war. Oh, we're going to fund transgender surgeries in Guatemala and all that shit. I don't believe in any of that because that is basically all my money being wasted because the government, once my money is being passed to them, they should be held accountable for every dollar correctly going to what it's supposed to, rather than being smuggled or taken away, because that's a betrayal of the American people. And whether or not you like big taxes, even if you have high taxes and money is being smuggled in the inside, that's still a betrayal of you in general as a taxpayer, because it's being used on something you don't want it to be used, something that is not useful for the American people. So whether the taxes are high or low, wasteful spending should always be cut. And I believe the taxpayers deserve to keep more of their money because the government's wasting a lot of money on useless garbage that most of us don't even know what a lot of it is going to. Because there's so much money to the point where if people smuggle a little bit every single time, like, it'll go unnoticed because they don't keep track of anything, as Doge has found out. Nobody keeps track of where the money goes. Nobody keeps track of receipts. Nobody keeps track of any of that. So that's my problem with it. If we don't know where the money's going, why should we pay taxes if we don't know where the hell the money is going that we pay as the American people?
and potentially could add to deficits. So, did Republicans pay for this in the bill? According to CBO, no. The money saved in this bill from the cuts, the spending cuts, is $1.3 trillion. Now, this is a significant, historically large number of spending cuts. Healthcare cuts, we've been talking about Medicaid, green energy, student loans. This is a big number.
Yeah, that's a big cut.
But it is much smaller than the amount being spent here. So overall, congressional budget.
Yeah, so overall, it is going to spend more money, even though that's probably the part that Elon Musk is unhappy about. Where I'm unhappy about it too, but it's one of those things where Congress is going to be Congress, and they're going to do that shit no matter what we do. And it sucks ass, but they're going to add 100 strings attached to every bill they pass, because as long as those people are in it, if they don't benefit, they won't pass anything. And that's the downside. They don't compromise for the American people. They compromise for their own benefit most of the time. Even if there are legitimate issues that the American people want, at the forefront of it, there's a couple of small things that these senators will benefit themselves with in the bill.
Office says this bill would add $2.4 trillion to the deficit, and that is even before you consider.
Oh, just to say, I guess I was wrong on my initial number. I said 1.5 trillion. So yeah, I'll definitely give credit where credit's due. I was slightly wrong on the first part of the video.
Interest costs.
So, Lisa, Republicans argue that economic growth will help to pay for some of this, which is harder to forecast. But based on what we do know right now, what's their argument for why this won't add to the deficit?
Right, it's important because you're going to be hearing this from that. Republicans say, look at this biggest cost here, the extension of the Trump tax cuts. They say because these are the current tax rates, they argue it shouldn't be counted against the cost of the bill. So let's just go down this road with them for a second. If you take out the cost of extending the tax cuts, then indeed the math flips. And the money they're saving in this bill is more than what they're spending. So it would, in fact, be good for the deficit. However, this ignores the reality that this bill would, in fact, take all of this revenue out of the federal budget. It is significant in dollar terms. But this is also significant politically, and I'm going to explain to you why. Republicans want to pass this bill through something called budget reconciliation. To do that, they have to meet certain rules. One of them, they need a majority.
Yeah, exactly. They need a majority vote, cannot have a budget effect, and cannot increase the deficit over 10 years. This part's going to be hard because basically every president has been doing that. Obama did it, Bill Clinton did it, Trump did it, Joe Biden did it. Every president did it. Like, this is not a Trump specific issue. This is a everyone issue.
Majority vote. That's what they want to get this through. But they also have to have a budget effect. That's clearly in here. But also, one of the rules is they can't increase the deficit over 10 years. So this argument that you take out the current Trump tax cuts is important politically as well.
Lisa, we saw.
Yeah, so 10 years, that means that Trump is going to have to somehow get J.D. Vance to win presidency twice in order for it to really fully succeed if they go through with it fully. And that is putting a lot of faith on his plan. And we'll see what happens in the future because I can't read the future. But as you can see, that at least tells you something. As you can see, there's a lot of faith being put on the Republicans basically winning, or whoever Trump endorses winning.
Paul Solomon there take us through a big picture look at the debt. But what exactly does the trajectory look like right now? And also, what does it look like if this mega bill passes?
This is so important. Our debt right now is soaring. This is where we are currently. Right now, about 100% of GDP is where our debt is. And this is sort of the rough trajectory going up to 156% if we stay on our current track in the middle of this century. Here's what this bill would do according to the Congressional Budget Office. It would make this curve even more steep for the first few years, and then it would flatten out. Essentially, it just increases the debt curve, moves it up so we have an even higher percentage of debt to GDP.
Yeah. This is one of the things that sucks, which is every president's done this shit. I don't see the debt going down ever, to be honest. Not in my lifetime. Just because Andrew Jackson did it when it was a lot easier. Because there were only 6 presidents before him. Trump has to deal with, let's see, after Andrew Jackson, he was 7th, so that'd be, yeah, Trump would have to deal with 40 presidents of adding to the deficit, basically, and trying to remove everything that happened beforehand. And that's going to be nearly impossible. Unless everything goes exactly as planned, it's basically impossible as a plan. And I don't believe it's going to go through.
Lisa, all the efforts we've seen from the president and Elon Musk to cut the size of government and government spending, how do those compare with the size of the deficit?
Right, it's so important. We've seen so much about this idea of cutting spending, cutting federal workers. But let's talk about what it actually means relatively. So here is our current deficit. I took the liberty of taking the $1.9 trillion, which is this year's deficit, and making it sort of visual so that each of these dots represents $10 billion. Elon Musk and Doge have said so far that they have saved $180 billion. Now, we know this is
Oh, yeah. Let me go to Doge official website to check that. Because Doge has an official one, which is more, this one's more speculative, but it's it's basically extremely accurate. Whereas the other one's more so official government stuff. Let's see. Yep, here it is. So this is the official numbers. So I'll take this. I'll take what she said basically as fact. Even though I do think the debt clock is more accurate in terms of modern day, because this one basically keeps up with what they're doing recently.
Is not verified, and we know some of it is actually unproven. But let's just go ahead and imagine that they did actually save $180 billion.
Unverified and unproven. Okay.
Where does that compare? Look at that. It is just this much out of the entire deficit. They've also been firing federal workers. Now, let's talk about if you...
I'm going to say this. Firing federal workers is not really a bad thing. Because think about this. Elon Musk went to Twitter, fired, I think it was 80% of them, and it still works. If it still works, the government's going to be the same way. There's a lot of useless workers in many big companies that they have jobs that don't make any money and don't really do anything important. And when times are rough, they get cut out. So I'm perfectly fine with him cutting out some federal workers that basically do nothing for the government and don't really help out the taxpayer in terms of, the money we pay them to do their own job at. If they get paid to do a job that's basically meaningless, then I really could care less if they get fired. That's a them problem, because if the company I work at is going through rough times, immediately the useless workers are getting kicked out. So they shouldn't have that same protection too. If they're doing a bad job, it's their fault for doing a bad job and they don't deserve to be there.
You fired every single federal worker, it'd be about $270 billion that you would save. What does that get you? Just this much. One last thing, there's a rescissions package of immediate cuts that President Trump has put forth. We've talked about that.
Yeah, I will say the only downside of this is this isn't taking into account that Doge can save money in the future. I think it's going to be a little slower without Elon Musk in it, but it doesn't take into account that Doge over time can, in fact, save more money in the future looking into things. Like, Doge has not even touched the military or Social Security. And I'm just going to say this, the military is probably the final boss in terms of wasteful spending, and Social Security is probably the second boss of it. So how I see it is Social Security is going to be that dragon you're fighting in Elden Ring, Night Rain. You think he's hard, you think he's tough, you're losing to him, and for some reason, the Nameless King comes in, one-shots it, and then he's like, you're going to have to deal with me now. And then you're scared and shitting your pants. That's basically what I see that as. But anyways, I'm going to end the video here, and yeah, do whatever you want.